Imagine this. You wave goodbye to your son as he heads back to college in Nashville. Seems ordinary, right?
Mm,
Except this young man, Marcus Rutledge, would vanish without a trace, leaving his family to grapple with a quarter century of unanswered questions. Today, we're diving deep into the perplexing disappearance of Marcus Rutledge, using the Dateline podcast episode you provided, along with news articles and interviews, to try and piece together this enduring mystery.
It's a case that chills you to the bone. A parent's worst nightmare. A seemingly normal life interrupted, a trail gone cold. And the source material you've given us offers a fascinating, albeit heartbreaking glimpse into Marcus's world before it all went dark.
Right. Before we get into the disappearance itself, let's paint a picture of who Marcus was.
Yeah.
The sources describe him as a bright, energetic young man from Michigan, close to his family, especially his sister Felicia.
He's described as someone who was always willing to lend a hand. Respectful, responsible, almost like a throwback to a simpler time. The kind of kid who wouldn't hesitate to help an elderly neighbor with their groceries.
It sounds like he had a strong foundation, a good head on his shoulders. So what leads him to Tennessee State University?
Well, TSU was more than just a school for the Rutledges. It was a legacy. Both his parents had attended, and it being a historically black university likely held a lot of significance for the family. What's interesting is that his older sister Felicia was already a student there when he enrolled. I wonder if having that familiar face on campus, that built-in support system, influenced his decision.
It's funny how those family ties can draw us in, even across state lines. So Marcus arrives at TSU, following in his family's footsteps, with his sister there for guidance. What happens next?
Well, college life often throws curveballs, doesn't it? During his freshman year, Marcus meets Valencia Bryant, and their relationship quickly blossoms. But things take an unexpected turn when Valencia becomes pregnant.
Becoming a father at 18, especially while in college, must have been incredibly challenging. Did the sources mention how Marcus felt about this, or how it impacted his studies?
The sources are a bit thin on Marcus's personal feelings during this time, but we do know that while he was excited about becoming a father, the situation wasn't without its difficulties. Valencia ended up leaving TSU to be closer to her family in Knoxville. While Marcus stayed at the university, it essentially became a long-distance relationship, further complicating an already complex situation.
So despite the challenges, they were committed to making it work for their son Darius.
Absolutely. Valencia emphasizes that while they were young and navigating a long-distance situation, Marcus was a dedicated father who prioritized spending time with Darius.
And Felicia seems to back that up, recalling how much Marcus cherished every moment he had with his son. Birthdays, holidays, he was always there. It paints a picture of a young man trying his best to juggle responsibilities he probably wasn't fully prepared for.
You're spot on. And this makes what happens next even more baffling. In June of 1998, Marcus simply vanishes. The sources detail the events leading up to his disappearance. By this point, he and Valencia had gone their separate ways, remaining close as co-parents to Darius. Marcus was also in a new relationship with a woman named Tawana. On June 8th, Tawana had plans to meet Marcus, but he never showed up.
That's got to be a sinking feeling, waiting for someone who never arrives. What happens next?
Tawana tries to reach him, but there's no answer. She also contacts his family, and they too are unable to get in touch with him. Felicia repeatedly calls his cell phone, but it goes straight to voicemail. This was completely out of character for Marcus, someone who was normally reliable and communicative.
The alarm bells must have been ringing loud and clear at this point. Does anyone go to his apartment to check on him?
Yes. Tawana, along with Marcus's friend Akian Gibbs, goes to his apartment. They end up breaking in because there's no response, and that's when they discover something truly chilling. Marcus's dog is locked in the bathroom, seemingly abandoned for quite some time.
The dog being left alone like that. It suggests something was seriously wrong.
Exactly. Leaving his dog like that, coupled with his uncharacteristic silence, is a huge red flag. This, combined with the inability to reach him, prompts Tawana to contact the police.
Does the police get involved? What did they find when they begin investigating?
Initially, not a whole lot. There are no signs of a struggle in the apartment. No obvious clues to indicate where he might have gone. However, weeks later, his car is discovered abandoned, miles away from his apartment. And here's the kicker. There's a handgun inside.
The discovery of the gun changes things, doesn't it? It suggests a side of Marcus that his family, and maybe even we, didn't fully know. It makes you wonder what else he might have been keeping hidden.
It's a twist that no one saw coming, least of all his family. The gun is believed to have belonged to Marcus, something they were completely unaware of, and it raises a lot of questions. Where did he get it? Why did he have it? Was he involved in something dangerous that he felt the need to protect himself from?
It's like we're starting to see cracks in the image of the good kid everyone thought they knew. And it makes you wonder what other secrets he might have been carrying.
Well, as the investigation unfolds, more secrets begin to surface. Remember how Marcus had told his family he was in his senior year at TSU? The detective assigned to the case uncovers the truth. Marcus had actually dropped out of school.
So he was actively keeping this from his family. Why? What was he really doing with his time?
It seems that Marcus had gotten involved in selling marijuana, likely to support his son Darius. Now remember, this is 1998. Marijuana was illegal everywhere, so he was putting himself at risk. It makes you wonder, did the pressure of supporting his son, coupled with being a college dropout, push him into this risky venture?
Valencia actually confirms this, mentioning she tried to discourage him from this path, worried he was neglecting his education and taking unnecessary risks. She even suggests that maybe he felt trapped, like this was his only option.
And if that wasn't enough, there's another bombshell. Remember Toanna Marcus's girlfriend at the time of his disappearance? It turns out they also had a daughter together, a 2-year-old named Jayla.
Wow. So this young man was juggling fatherhood, the pressures of providing for 2 children, and potentially entangled in a world he wasn't prepared for? No wonder he felt the need to keep secrets from his family.
Exactly. Marcus was carrying a heavy burden, a burden he clearly felt he had to bear alone. This revelation, however, begs the question, did this secrecy, this double life, somehow contribute to his disappearance?
It's certainly adding layers to this mystery. We've got a young father, financial pressures, involvement in illegal activities. It's all starting to paint a very complicated picture. What are some of the theories surrounding Marcus's disappearance?
Given his involvement in drug dealing, one theory is that he got caught up in something dangerous. Perhaps he owed money or crossed the wrong people. The drug trade, especially back then, was a risky business.
It's a plausible scenario given the inherent dangers associated with that world. Are there any other theories the investigators are considering?
Well, there is another intriguing piece to this puzzle. Remember Ian Gibbs, Marcus's friend who helped break into his apartment? Tragically, Ian was murdered just 8 months after Marcus disappeared.
Oh, wow. That sends chills down my spine.
Hmm.
Is there any evidence linking the 2 cases?
While the police haven't established a direct connection, the timing and their shared involvement in marijuana sales certainly raised suspicion. It's certainly a possibility that they were both entangled in something larger and more sinister than they anticipated.
It almost seems too much of a coincidence to believe they're entirely unrelated. But without concrete evidence, we can only speculate. Are there any other theories about what happened to Marcus?
There's another theory that's a bit more nuanced. Some believe that Marcus, feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of fatherhood, his involvement in the drug trade, and the secrets he was keeping, may have chosen to disappear intentionally.
You mean like a self-imposed exile to escape the life he'd built? To start over with a clean slate?
Precisely. It's possible he felt trapped and saw this as his only way out, to leave his past behind and create a new life for himself.
That's a heartbreaking thought, especially for his family who have spent years searching for answers. It's got to be incredibly difficult not knowing whether he's out there somewhere or, well, like, is there anything in the source material that supports this theory?
There's no direct evidence, no note or message indicating he planned to disappear. However, the fact that he was keeping so many secrets, coupled with the pressures he was facing, lends some weight to this theory.
It's certainly a possibility that can't be easily dismissed. And then there's the element of the phone calls. Can you remind us about those?
Yes, the mysterious phone calls. Both Marcus's family and Valencia reported receiving strange calls after his disappearance. They described them as silent calls where no one would speak on the other end.
That's so eerie. Did these calls happen frequently? Were they ever traced?
They were sporadic, sometimes once a month, sometimes every few months. Unfortunately, the technology back then wasn't as advanced, so tracing them was impossible. But Marcus's mother, Jerry, was convinced these silent calls were from her son. She believed it was his way of letting them know he was okay without revealing his location.
That adds a whole other dimension to this story. It's both hopeful and tragic at the same time. Hopeful that he might still be out there, but tragic that he felt unable to truly reconnect with his loved ones. Did the calls eventually stop?
They actually continued for years, even after Marcus's mother passed away in 2015. This detail adds a layer of mystery and hope to this already complex case. Were these calls really from Marcus, a silent beacon from the shadows? Or were they just a cruel trick of fate, adding to the family's torment? We can only speculate.
It's a chilling thought that someone can simply vanish, leaving behind only whispers and unanswered questions, and in this case, the mysterious phone calls add another layer of intrigue. It makes you wonder if it was Marcus what was preventing him from truly reconnecting with his family. Was he in danger? Did he fear for their safety?
It's a puzzle with so many missing pieces, but what we do have, thanks to resources like the Dateline podcast, is a platform to amplify Marcus's story, to keep his memory alive, and maybe reach someone who holds that missing piece of information.
That's the power of these podcasts and investigations, isn't it? They shine a light on cold cases, giving hope to families who have been searching for answers, sometimes for decades.
Exactly. Sometimes all it takes is one person to remember something, a detail they might have dismissed as insignificant, and suddenly a cold case heats up.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? What can they take away from this deep dive into the mystery of Marcus Rutledge?
I think this case, tragic as it is, underscores the importance of communication within families. The secrets Marcus kept, the burdens he carried alone. They paint a stark picture of the dangers of isolation.
It's a reminder that even those who appear strong and capable might be struggling silently, and that creating a space for open and honest dialogue within our families could be a lifeline for someone in need.
Precisely, maybe if Marcus had felt comfortable confiding in his loved ones, seeking their support, things might have unfolded differently.
It's a somber thought, but an important one. And for our listeners, if you take anything away from this deep dive, let it be a renewed commitment to fostering those open lines of communication with your loved one.
And of course, if any detail from this case resonates with you, if you have any information, however small or seemingly insignificant, please reach out to the authorities. You never know, that piece of information could be the key to unlocking this mystery and bringing closure to the Rutledge family.
We'll have the relevant contact information on our website and in the show notes. And to the Rutledge family, our hearts go out to you. Your strength and perseverance in the face of such agonizing uncertainty is truly inspiring.
We hope that one day the truth about Marcus's disappearance will be revealed, providing you with the answers and peace you deserve.
This has been a truly compelling deep dive, full of twists and turns. We've explored the life of Marcus Rutledge, delved into the mystery of his disappearance, and grappled with the various theories surrounding this unsolved case.
We may not have definitive answers, but we hope this exploration has shed some light on this complex and heartbreaking story.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We'll be back soon with another deep dive, exploring the unknown and seeking the truth one story at a time.